Welcome back. Captain Ron here from RonSharrow.com. Today I'd like to illustrate and explain to you crosswind takeoff and crosswind landings. We got about a 12-mile-an-hour wind about 40 degrees off from our left. We talked about earlier not to take off diagonally down the runway or even land diagonally on the runway. Always stay on the center line. Always look for traffic. Search traffic, yellow airplane 724 Juliet Foxtrot, lining up and waiting, runway 19 for departure, Cersei. Okay, here we go. We're going to taxi out onto the 19 threshold.
Searching traffic, airport 22 Foxtrot Charlie, crosswind 19er, searching traffic.
And we got another aircraft in the pattern with us. Okay, the first takeoff, that's always the one you should give it a lot of thought and consideration and make sure you get enough practice in rotor blade management. Now, crosswind takeoffs, you can either anticipate how much wind by moving the cyclic into the wind a certain amount. But really, I recommend you just leave the cyclic centered all the way back on takeoff.
22 Foxtrot Charlie, downwind 19er, searching traffic.
And then wait until the aircraft becomes light, gets the rotor blades are up to speed, the aircraft starts to lift. Then you can feel what the wind is doing, and to me it's much easier. Then you can put in the cyclic input to counteract the crosswind. Okay, here we go. We're going to pre-rotate.
Searching traffic, airport 22 Foxtrot Charlie, power off 180, 19er, searching traffic.
Okay, we're letting the rotor blades come up a little bit at a time. Well, looking at the traffic ahead of us, make sure nobody's coming in on the opposite runway. That happens occasionally. Okay, here we go. We're spinning them up to about 200 RPM, maybe 225. Remember, we got a crosswind from our left. Okay, here we go. Stick 1, 2, 3, slowly all the way back. Add just a little power. Search traffic, airplane on the go, 19. Just a little power at a time. You don't want to jam the throttle in there. Let them blades come up slowly. Okay, now the nose is light. Okay, now I want to put a little more power in it, a little left cyclic and right rudder. Counteract that wind, stand right over the center line. You always want to stay parallel to the runway until you get some altitude. See, the string is off to the right. Now I can let the aircraft yaw into the wind where the string is straight, and the aircraft climbs at a much more efficient rate at that point. Always remember, you make small inputs on the cycling. You know, you keep a light grip on it. You don't want to squeeze the cycling. You want to feel the input. When the gust of the wind hits the rotor disc, it'll give you feedback on what's going on. Searching traffic, yellow airplane on our left crosswind for 19. Okay, you're always trimming, constantly trimming the cyclic so you don't have a lot of forward pressure or aft pressure. Try to keep it comfortable. Okay, we're at altitude now. First thing you do when you're at altitude, you reduce the throttle first, then make a cyclic adjustment to keep your speed. If you just throttle back and didn't do any cyclic adjustment, you would slow down. Remember, it's a combination of thrust and drag. Okay, here we are downwind. Search traffic, gyroplane left downwind for 19, searching.
Searching traffic, airport 22 Foxtrot Charlie, clear 19er, searching traffic.
Now, when you're on final, first of all, when you're turning base to final, in this case, when we turn left base, we're going to have a tailwind, because remember, the wind is off from the east, which is my right side at the moment. And if you're in close, it's very easy to overshoot the runway as far as lining up goes when you turn on final. And I'll go ahead and illustrate that. It's not a big deal, but it's something that you can try to avoid, but it's an easy correction. Searching traffic, yellow gyroplane close in left base for short final for 19, searching. Okay, I'm turning left base at the moment. I throttle back a little bit and move the cyclic back just a little, so I'm slowing it down a bit. I'm down to 50. That's okay, I got plenty of altitude. Now, if you get distracted and you overshoot the final leg of your approach, like I'm about to do, and if you're on a long final, it's easy that you got plenty of time to correct. Or if you have a long runway like we have here. See, I'm off. So all I do is bank it around, line it up. If you feel uncomfortable doing this, then just make a go around. Okay, once I get lined up, parallel the runway, all right, I'm going to parallel the runway now. Now, you can either leave it yawed into the wind, which is off to the left now. I'm a little bit crooked to the left. That's fine. But you don't want to wait to the last minute to straighten it out, because you may overcorrect and then you get too close to the runway and start making too many adjustments.
57666 Victor, base 1930.
So right about now, I'm going to put some...
Short final in sight? Yeah, we got you.
I'm going to put some right rudder in to parallel, make sure the fuselage is parallel in the white line. You can see the yaw string is off to the right. To the left cyclic and right rudder. And when you get down close to the ground here, you can always add a little throttle on your landing that helps soften the touch. I'm adding a little power. It's good practice. Okay, we're just going to do a go around at this moment. Searching traffic. Gyroplane on the go, 19, searching. Searching traffic. The airplane is going to offset to the left over the taxiway to clear the runway. And we're just going to sidestep it here. Got another aircraft on final. And you hear a lot of talk about porpoising, pilot-induced oscillation, or PIO. With these new modern gyroplanes, they're not so susceptible to that out of controls configuration. But it's always good to practice good cyclic movements and throttle movements, especially in a climb to level flight. Hold power first, then cyclic second. In an airplane, it's pitch then power. In a gyroplane, it's power and pitch. Okay, here we're going to be down to downwind. Searching traffic, yellow gyroplane left downwind for 19. Now, if you're doing a high rate of speed, the controls become more sensitive. If you get into a lot of updrafts and downdrafts, don't try to control it with a stick. You're moving it up like I'm doing now, or you're moving it down, trying to control these updrafts and downdrafts. All you're doing is over-controlling. You're not going to get in sync with it. It just won't happen. Best thing to do if you're uncomfortable with updrafts and downdrafts is to reduce the throttle, slow the aircraft down to maneuvering speed. Yeah, search traffic. Airplane is in a close left base, short final full, runway 19, search traffic. Always checking traffic. Make sure you fly the aircraft. Don't get distracted. Maintain control. Reducing throttle. And normally when you reduce throttle, the nose is going to drop. I'll exaggerate it. Nose is dropping. I'm going to back on the cyclic a little bit, trim it back. Keep that speed to a minimum of 60. Throttle back. This time I'm not going to let the aircraft yaw into the wind on final. Maintain parallel with my right rudder and left cyclic. You can see the yaw string off to the right. And if it's windy out, you can carry a little more airspeed. You can always bleed it off when you're down close to the surface of the runway. And it's a bit gusty out here, but don't over control. Just maintain good control, good touch on the cyclic, coming down close to the surface, keeping your eyes down the runway. Don't look at any instruments at this point. Looking at that white line. Watch the nose kind of come up when your cyclic is coming back. Add a little power. Bring the nose up more. Land on the mains, not the nose wheel. Okay. Here we go again. Street traffic, airplane on the go. 1930.
Search traffic, Air Press 22 Foxtrot Charlie, down 119. Search traffic.
Okay, thanks for watching.